We don't make mistakes. We have happy accidents.
Hey everybody, Jefferson Webster here. With the World Series approaching, I finally finished mourning the epic collapse of my Chicago Cubs. With that, I want to talk today about the two funniest baseball cards of all time. Let's start with arguably the most notorious baseball card of all time, 1989 Fleer, Billy Ripken. For those of you who don't know about this card, my inner circle affectionately refers to this card as the face card. Now, let's all be adults about this. It's just a curse word, albeit a very funny one. However, if you'd like to complain, feel free to reach out to Upper Deck, who acquired Fleer in 2005.
Upper Deck, customer care.
Yeah, I had a quick question. You guys own the company Fleer, right?
We do, yeah.
Okay, my son inherited some baseball cards, and I just wanted to bring to your attention, he's got one that has a curse word on it, and I didn't know if you knew about it or not.
Which card is it?
It's like an old one. It's a Fleer card, so I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, we just took over the license a handful of years ago. Any of that would have fallen on the old ownership group. I don't even know that we did their baseball cards at all, but we do some Fleer hockey products.
Okay.
Do you remember who the player was?
It's Billy Ripken.
It's an incredibly famous card.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was just shocked.
Might be worth some money.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, I'll have to look into it. We were going through it, and I was shocked when I saw it, so I just thought I would...
Yeah, no, that's a very famous card. That's what I was wondering if that was the one you have. Yeah, he always claims that he didn't know they had done it to him. It's on the bottom of the bat, right?
Yes. Yep, right there, curse word, boom.
Yeah, his claim was that he didn't know that they had done it to him. How that got through production, I have no idea. But yeah, no, that card's been out there.
All right.
Definitely notorious to say the least.
Now that we have that out of the way, how could this have possibly happened? There are many urban myths about the origins of the card and the variations of it. The year is 1988. Billy Ripken, playing for the Orioles at the time, had just recently received a new shipment of Louisville Slugger bats, which were unfortunately heavier than he'd prefer. Therefore, he decided to use them for batting practice instead of games. Cal Ripken Sr., Billy's father, the manager of the Orioles at the time, ran a pretty strict operation. At the Orioles stadium, the bat room was far from the clubhouse, so in efforts of being efficient, he decided to write something on the end of the bat. Billy thought that writing his number would be too confusing in a sea of bats. So in a moment of self-reflective clubhouse humor, Billy grabbed a Sharpie and decided to write face on the end of his bat. Later in the season, the Orioles are in Boston for a road series against the Red Sox. A photographer from Fleer is on site taking pictures for the 1989 set of cards. Billy is taking batting practice when the photographer calls him over for a quick shot. Billy brings the now legendary face bat with him, completely forgetting the vulgarity on the knob, and holds it up to his right shoulder. Fast forward to January 1989. Ripken is notified about the card by the Orioles public relations representative Rick Vaughn. Yeah, his name was Rick Vaughn. You can't make this stuff up. Tim Kirchin, now with ESPN, was a reporter at the Baltimore Sun at the time. He was the first to interview Billy about the card. Embarrassed, Billy blamed the incident on his teammates, as it being a targeted prank unbeknownst to him. In response to the release of the card, Fleer's president, Vincent Murray, expressed outrage as the company immediately made plans to correct the error. Therefore, in 1989, Fleer manufactured 12 versions of the card: blackout, whiteout, white scribble, and black scribble. Errors and mistakes were common for baseball cards during this time. For example, in that same set of cards, who can forget Mike Heath and Tom Brooken's error cards? Most of these errors were due to printing mistakes, typos, or incorrect information listed on the back of the card. However, it wasn't common to completely miss something so obvious from a photograph. Also in that same set, Randy Johnson was photographed in front of a Marlboro cigarette sign, which Fleer redacted to obscure the advertisement. So who knows? Maybe they were just a hot mess back then. The photographer Steve Bonneau states that the card was not intentional. Steve states that since Billy was wearing his uniform, which his number was clearly stated in the front, the prints would not be needed to be identified with a magnifying glass. Also, photo blueprints were 3 shades of blue, evidently an attempt by Fleer to save money. With all of these factors at play, the vulgarity was missed, and the card was sent for mass production. Despite this, I still speculate Fleer knew exactly what the card was and made the decision to produce it anyway. What would motivate them to do such a thing? Money. When the Billy Ripken card surfaced, it was a collector's goldmine, thereby creating an overwhelming demand for a struggling baseball card brand at the time. Let's flash back to 1989. Holy cats, look at those pants. Could they be pulled up any higher? Fortunately, I was able to figure out the uniform next year, but I digress. Where was I? Oh yeah, it's 1989. Little Jefferson Webster is watching TV at home when his older brother frantically runs into the house, alerting him of the Billy Ripken heir worth a fortune. We both ran to our baseball card collections immediately and started rummaging through our 1989 Fleer cards. There it was in my 9-year-old hands. My brother and I must have laughed hysterically for 30 minutes straight. After placing the card in a hard protective case, it was quickly confiscated by my parents. At that time, the card was worth around $50 to $100. However, some values reached as high as $500. Today, the vulgar version of the card retails for about $8 to $20. However, some of the edited versions bring significantly larger sums. This card is 30 years old, but its legend still lives on today. I recently attended a local baseball card show, asking vendors for copies of the card. I was met with looks of judgment, smirks, and sometimes confusion. In fairness, a lot of the vendors don't want to put the card out on the floor due to its vulgarity. With children rummaging through the cards and whatnot, it's understandable. Nowadays, baseball cards are worthless relics from a forgotten time. However, the Billy Ripken base card, 1989 Ken Griffey Jr. Upper Deck, 1986 Jose Canseco rated rookie card, and the 1990 Score Bo Jackson football baseball card were all catalysts for a baseball card explosion in the 1980s and 90s. With my recent attendance of the baseball card show, I was able to track down 5 packs of 1989 Fleer. If we make some assumptions here and assume that all 5 of these packs were from the same box, and that each box contains one Billy Ripken card, I have around a 13 to 14% chance of finding one. Let's see if I get lucky. Stay tuned next time when we talk about another humorous baseball card that rivals old faces. As for me, I'm gonna go outside and hit some batting practice.
There's something on the end of the bat.
Wait, what?
It's on the nail.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Peanut!